Hello, guys, and welcome to the Comic Book Weekly podcast. And today we have a ton to talk about, so get ready for a fantastic show. We're really excited. I hope you don't hear my dryer. I might have to turn that off while we a little bit. It's like shaking this thing right now. So I will intro our first topic. So actually, you wanted to talk about a topic, Brant, before we went into the news. So why don't you talk about that while I turn this off?
Yeah, I guess that's the MCU thing. But real quick, before I do that, Mike Spider's, if I can talk, Mike Spider Slayer is not going to be here tonight. It's actually his wedding anniversary. So he took that off to spend that with his wife. So looking forward to having him back next week. But yeah, so as we get started here, I just wanted to briefly mention, I saw this pop up on my phone, that there's like this book coming out about the making of the MCU, which I thought was kind of cool. It's got like unprecedented access to behind the scenes stuff with over 200 interviews and that kind of thing. So if you're kind of a geek for that kind of stuff and you want to see how the sausage is made as far as Marvel's films and the whole MCU, check that out.
Yes, definitely go check all that out. And then we also have a lot of news. As you guys know, we're going to talk about that bigger news piece towards the end of the news section. But let's get started. We're going to start with some media news. So first up, we got the Lock and Key Season 2 trailer. So you were anticipating this. So now that we got a trailer, what are your thoughts?
I think it looks fantastic. And I don't remember. I don't remember like what all was covered in the books, but I know that first season like ran through a bunch of material. And I was kind of worried where they're going to go. And seeing this trailer, for one, it looks much more intense. It looks like they've gotten more mastery over the keys. But the interesting thing is they're making new keys in this season, which I thought was really interesting and really cool. And I can't wait to see what those keys do. And of course, Dodge is masquerading as somebody else right now. So I think things are going to really heat up this season, and it looks really solid to me. So I'm excited for it.
All right. And then next up, we have, this is interesting. So Batman the Webtoon is getting a live action adaptation, which they tend to do with some webtoons. I didn't expect this to happen so quickly, but I'm definitely going to watch it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's going to be exclusively on a YouTube channel, which is known for doing these live action battles. Like there's a recent one with Quicksilver versus Flash. So they have, it's a filmmaker, so they do this kind of stuff just for the fun of it, right? So it's going to be interesting to see like a full mini series of this thing, but it's cool. I'm definitely going to check it out. I like the webtoon, so why not?
For sure. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying the webtoon. I think it's a really fun concept and cool to bring new people in. Now, next up, Brant, you wanted to discuss this. I just think this is an interesting news piece. Sabrina is coming to Riverdale. That's happening.
Yeah. So so the Sabrina Netflix series is not really my thing. It's a little dark and demonic for my taste, so I don't really watch that. I watched a little bit of it, but in Riverdale, I fell off during the motorcycle gang stuff.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I know. So I haven't seen it for a long time, but this still caught my interest because anytime there's crossovers like that, it just, I don't know, it seems cool because anytime Sabrina would show up in Archie or, various characters like Katie Keene and that kind of thing, it's kind of cool. Any kind of comic you read, it's cool when another character you don't expect to show up shows up and there's this story. So doing it in live action, I think it's pretty cool. And I don't know how that fits. I mean, we know Riverdale is a little bit darker than typical Archie comics, but it's not really supernatural, even though they've kind of skirted that line a little bit, especially at the beginning. And I don't know where it went after that. But Sabrina is totally supernatural, so it's going to be interesting how they meld those two parts of the Archie world.
We actually have a question of something we are going to talk about. We're getting actually a lot of comments, so thank you. Yeah. Guys, don't worry. We will tell you, Axe, if we're going to talk about Dean Cain talking about Jon Kent. I mean, we are going to talk about Jon Kent. I don't think we're going to talk about Dean Cain's horrible comments, but that is your answer, I guess.
I have not seen Dean Cain's comments, so if they're horrible, I have no interest in looking them up either.
Yeah.
So.
They're the comments he normally makes about every comic thing that he doesn't even read comics. So like, who gives a shit? It's like, cool. Thanks for your opinion. All right. Jace actually does ask. So anybody have damaged Marvel books due to Penguin Random House? So I didn't go to my comic book store. My brother was actually passing my comic book store that day while he was visiting. So he's like, I'll pick up your comics. But he told me that the employees at the store said they were damaged books. So I will be talking to them tomorrow about it. And I heard that is continuing to happen this week as well. So that really sucks.
Yeah, I really hope that people are getting the word back to Penguin, or at least Marvel, so they can get to Penguin. Somebody talk to somebody so they can get this all resolved, because that really sucks, and they need to change their business practices.
Yes. Now, the thing that I was going to talk about was Mike Manhattan asking about the new Scream trailer. I mean, I'm stoked. I love Scream so much. So I'm excited that there's a new movie. I don't know if the new trailer gave me too much, besides that there's going to be texting instead of calling, which I actually don't know how to feel about that. But obviously really excited, and going to go see Halloween Kills this week. So I'm all for all the slasher movies coming back. It's weird that it's January, though. So that's weird.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I'm not a huge horror fan. I'm definitely not a slasher fan, but I have seen all the Scream movies, and I did watch this trailer right before we came on, so it's really fresh in my mind. And the thing I will note is that it seems more dire and more serious than past ones to me. Like there was just a hint of like comedic flair to those past ones, just because it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, this one seemed a little bit more serious, so it kind of caught my attention a little bit. And I think the texting makes sense. It's it's updated, whatever.
No, I'm just hoping they don't overdo it, because like movie rules, like screenplay writing rules, it's always hard to add texting into it because you have to read. Like even though it's realistic as like us as people, but like when you're filming it, it's hard to read. So it's like it's not the most cinematic thing to do. So that's the thing that kind of worries me. But we'll see what happens.
Right.
I know Jon Kent's the main topic, but the main topic should be Saga. That was going to be the main topic. So it's going to be the second main topic is going to be Saga, and we will be talking about it. Tavia asks if we have any opinions on the Resident Evil trailer. Yes, that was another thing we are going to be talking about, so we'll talk about it now. Resident Evil, it looks cool. It looks like the video game. I'm going to watch it. I love Resident Evil. I love the games. I love the movies. Oh, I won't say I love the movies. I like watching the movies for what they are, but I love how bad they are.
and that's the thing too. Again, just like Scream for me. So I like the video game franchise too. This is one of the few horror things I just get into, and I actually enjoy all the movies as well, even though they are a little bit cheesy. But this one didn't seem as cheesy to me. So it seems like they stepped up their game a little bit, and fingers crossed. But even if not, I'm still going to enjoy it because it's Resident Evil, and it's just one of those things. So
yeah, it's more based on the video game, it seems like. So that's really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it for sure. I can't promise I'll watch it when it comes out, but at some point in my life, I will watch the Resident Evil season 1.
Absolutely.
At some point, if someone wants to watch it with me. All right. So next up is the Walking Dead. Speaking of zombies, the Walking Dead anthology TV series. So there's like 4 now. And now we're getting anthology. Like there's one part of me, like artistically, I think that's interesting. You can really tell different types of characters. That's really cool. But like the other side's like, man, stop with the Walking Dead TV shows.
Yeah, it's borderline kind of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's stretching your franchise a little bit too thin, I think, and you're going to oversaturate a little bit, I think, unless they're really way spaced out. And you basically just have Walking Dead all the time. That might be cool. But then again, you're not going to have that period of, oh, I can't wait for this to come back. It's always going to be there. So that's my concern with that. But I do think, like you said, creatively, that they could pull out some of those favorite characters or maybe even underutilized characters in the other shows and do an arc with them. And obviously, they're going to introduce new characters as well. So it could be fun if they do something different, which is really hard to do in the world of Walking Dead. So we'll see.
I do agree with that. Mike Manhattan asks, have you seen the animated Resident Evil movie? I saw the first one like when they were out in DVDs. I have not watched the Netflix ones, but they look cool for sure.
I didn't even know until recently there was a newer one, so I haven't had a chance to watch that either.
So let me see. The Superman Jon Kent news. While I'm not as excited of the idea of John being bi, I don't hate it. And Tom Taylor on CNN article about the news had the best response for it. So moving on, and obviously we're gonna get to the John stuff, guys. Don't worry. But this one actually, these are two big media news pieces. So Agatha is getting her own spin-off series. You know, I would say debatably. Sorry, I was reading Tavia's comment for a second. If it was a boy or a girl, I'm fine with it. I'm confused with that question because I asked him is like, oh, if it was a girl, would you say it's rushed or organic? And he's like, I'd be fine if it's a boy or a girl. So that means you're fine with it being a boy.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, Debbie. I don't understand that.
But we could talk about that after. But yeah, going back to the Agatha thing, that's cool. Like she debatably is the most popular of the new characters. So I'm curious if it's going to be a prequel or not, or if it's going to be present day, but I'm glad they're doing something with WandaVision.
Yeah, it seems to me that it would need to be a prequel, but, you know, it could just be her story. I don't care what it is, but she's a good actress. She was a really good part of WandaVision, both when she was just a, quirky neighbor and when she was revealed who she was. And it's not what I expected to be a show they announced, but it's like, okay, cool. Why not?
Tevye does answer the question. It just bothers me. Just don't get a chance to see Jon Kent to go through his childhood naturally, but they rushed it. That we could all definitely agree with, but it's something that's been done. You just got to go. It's not something that could be erased at this point. Right. I think people are using that. And not saying you are, Tevye, but there are a lot of people who are using that as an excuse to be homophobic. Because if he would have had a girlfriend, no one would be like, oh, this is rushed. Why would she be with a girl? It would be with a girl. I don't want to see him with any romance. It's like because he's with a boy, people are saying that.
Well, yeah, we'll get in. I've got my own opinions on that, and we'll get into all that as soon as we get to that topic. But bear with us. Yes. We got some other stuff to discuss. Yeah.
Try to save the comments because I will want to answer them, and I don't want to lose them. So please try to save it when we're at the topic. Okay, next up is Adam Warlock got cast for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. People are upset that it was not Zac Efron. But
why?
I don't know. People that was trending. I'm like, when did he I guess people wanted him as Adam Warlock. I think he'd be a better Johnny Storm if we're getting him in anything. But Will Poulter is going to be in this movie as Adam Warlock. I don't know him, so I don't have an opinion.
Yeah, I don't know him. I'm excited to see Adam Warlock, period. I think that's a natural progression, that natural next place to go with a spacefaring Marvel movie. So, I'm just excited to see what they do with Adam Warlock and, what role he plays in the larger MCU. I don't know. Looks like Will Poulter was in The Maze Runner.
Yeah, he was. That was, I think, his big one.
Okay, I recognize him now that I saw him with a different haircut. Okay, but yeah, that's the only thing I think I know him from. But
yeah, I definitely recognize the actor, but I'm not a huge Adam Warlock fan by any means. I'm like, okay, we'll just see how this plays out. I don't have an opinion now, but I'm sure when I see the movie, I will. They wanted Efron for his lovely singing voice. Does Adam Warlock sing or?
Yeah,
am I missing something?
That would make no sense if Adam Warlock was just randomly seen.
Maybe Zac Efron should play Dazzler. That's what I'm looking for.
He'll be long shot.
Yeah. I mean, long shot, exactly. We'll see who he ends up playing. So those are all the media news pieces. We're gonna go into the comic news. So we got some more info about the Fortnite comics. So Brant, you are following those. So if you want to explain a little bit about that, because I'm sure you read the article and I didn't. So
yeah. So they're following up that last Batman Fortnite comic with a one shot that's going to delve into a group that's behind the stuff that's going on in Fortnite, behind the scenes, kind of the backstory. Which they're called the Foundation. At the end of that miniseries, we saw that Lex Luthor was teaming up with Dr. Sloan, who's from the game, and they're kind of teasing that they're going to reveal some characters behind this whole Fortnite thing that we haven't seen before. We don't know their identity or whatever. So, as players of the game, that's exciting, and as people that love that comic, which I did, I thought it was fantastic. One of the best video game adaptation comics I've ever read. I know which is not saying much, but it was really good. I think that's pretty cool. I love the way they're marrying these two worlds, and they're giving us secrets that we don't see in the game in this comic. So that's fun.
So next up, we also have a new Mark Millar series coming out that's going to be related to the Netflix stuff, which, maybe haven't been doing as well as we all thought it would. But we do have King of Spies. Once again, another spy book. I feel like he does so many of these.
That's the only thing I had to say about this is like, what? I mean, it's in his wheelhouse, but, can't we get something a little bit different, Mark? Come on.
I agree.
Yeah, that's all. It's like, as a comic, I don't know that I am interested enough to read it. As a show, if it makes it that far, I'll check it out.
So now we also have Doc Ock returning for, I guess, a story arc leading into the Amazing Spider-Man issue 900. I don't.
What's that? That article was a little off. It said he became Superior Spider-Man in issue 800. It was 700.
Oh, tisk. Yeah. Can't have those typos. But with Doc Ock, we just saw him, and honestly, I know everyone loved their Superior Spider-Man, but I don't know if I care for his return. But I guess it makes sense if we're leading into the monumental issue 900, and obviously we don't have Green Goblin, hopefully, to play with because I've gotten enough of that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's a full arc. 200 issues later. 200 very fast issues later. Should note that. And you got Peter that's not even Spider-Man again. And Doc Ock, we saw him in this whole Sinister War. Kind of, I don't know. He seemed a little on the fence. Seemed like he was coming around a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see like what his motivation is here. Like if he doesn't think Ben's doing a good job as Spider-Man, or if he's gone back to wanting to kill Spider-Man again. Who knows?
That's true. It could be interesting because he is interacting with Ben and not Peter. So that's something we haven't seen. That's cool. Thank you for almost 40 viewers that are watching. We appreciate that. As we get into these big topics, so we're going to talk about Saga's return first. This is probably the only big news that came out New York Comic Con itself, which is crazy because, again, the other news feeds didn't come out of New York Comic Con. It came out on coming out day and Indigenous People Day, and I feel like International Women's Day. There's a lot of holidays.
Oh, really?
There was a lot of holidays on that Monday, and they're like, let's announce it today and not during Comic Con because they weren't there. But talking about Saga, it's so hard to talk about this because it's not news because we knew it was going to return, but it's nice to have a return date and a cover. But it's not like we know anything about what's going to happen besides it's returning,
Yeah. I mean, it's enough to like get people like excited and anticipating it, 3 months out or what. I think it's January, right? So, I mean, that's cool. And for me that I've only read volume 1, it's like, it's okay. Now I've got to catch up before January if I want to get on board with the return. So, that's cool, I guess. But yeah, they didn't give you a whole lot in that article.
No, yeah. I mean, the cover looked cool. I'm very excited because of the cliffhanger from the previous issue. Mm-hmm. I'm excited because we haven't gotten a Brian K. Vaughan book in a while.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see Fiona Staples. There's so many reasons to be excited, but it's not here yet. So again, it's like, yay. But also, okay, cool. We'll wait for January.
Remind me in December so I can go get it in January. Yeah.
Exactly. Now we'll talk about the big news that I'm sure is going to take up much of our time, and you guys can get your keyboards ready to say all your opinions. But obviously, as we said for Tim Drake and everything else we say about these type of topics, be nice. You don't know who you're talking to, and I feel like a lot of people come from. It's hard to say. Like, I feel like a lot of people come from a very privileged standpoint when it comes to that. I hate using that word, but I do. It's like, you don't know how people feel about it. Like you're coming from like, oh, let me attack this thing when maybe for someone else it's very important. I mean, I've said this before in the podcast, but I'm bi, so like this is important for me. And like there's times in my life where I have to hear a lot of negative things about queerness. So it's like to hear it in the thing that you love and hear it by so many voices. It's like it doesn't bother me, but it gets very tiring. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's like exhausting. It's like I hardly like want these announcements to happen because I just have to hear the shit over and over and over again. And as a queer person, again, it's not hard because I've dealt with it many times in my life, but to see it connected to the thing you love, it's like, man, like how does this affect you? It's so bothersome in that way. Like that's the angle I didn't talk about with Tim because it didn't bother me as much then, but because we went through the Tim thing so recently and just to see the same exact thing happen here, it's just been, it's just exhausting, man. But anyways, if you guys don't know, Jon Kent's bi, and there's a lot of differences with this announcement compared to Tim. And there's so much to talk about here because I want to talk about obviously it being revealed before the book comes out. I want to talk about it being in a flagship book instead of an anthology. And obviously I want to talk about like the new character aspects. I want to talk about a lot of things. So Brant, which topic do you want to talk about first?
Well, we'll talk about the releasing it before the book came out. So this issue that this happens in comes out in November. I think like November 9th or something like that. And I was a little like, I hate spoilers. So I was a little upset that they spoiled it ahead of time. But then I realized what day that this announcement came out and it made more sense. Like you just mentioned earlier, it's National Coming Out Day. So it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. Yes, they're leaning into the marketing of it. But from a business perspective, that's pretty dang smart to do. So why not? But yeah, so that kind of lightened the blow of the reveal. I don't know. I just always hate. I like being surprised in the story, but this wasn't really all that surprising either. We had talked about this
exactly.
Yeah, last issue that came out. It's like we felt like it was heading that way. So
let's talk about that aspect. It's definitely so interesting because people are like, it's rushed. It came out of nowhere, but it's like if that was a girl in their place, you would have saw it from 10 miles away that they were building something. It's so interesting because obviously John was a child when this happened, but like the Katie and John thing, they literally just were friends. And like people like, oh my God, Katie and John, they're so cute. So why don't you do the same thing? He was like 10 years old. Yeah, he was 10. People were like, oh my God, they're going to be together just because it's a boy and a girl. So for this, it's so interesting to see other people's perspective. I think what bothers me the most is that like people are like secretly homophobic, like they don't want to admit they're homophobic, but anytime these news pieces come out, and again, like I'm coming from a queer perspective and saying that I get some people's perspective where they're like, oh, I'm afraid they won't do anything with it. I'm afraid this was a publicity stunt. Totally get that. And if they don't do anything with it, cool, you are correct on that. Like, I don't want, you think as a queer person, I want this to be a headline? No, I want this to be a story. But knowing Tom Taylor, why would you think this wouldn't be a story?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Tom Taylor is like right now one of the kings of character development. I mean, that's just what he does. That's what he's good at. So yeah, I have total confidence in Tom Taylor's writing and handling of this character. And to talk to the point of it was rushed or it doesn't make sense or all that kind of stuff. It's like we talked about. John was aged prematurely, yes, aged off panel through space, through the future, whatever. But also he spent some time in the Legion, which is in the far future. So I think John would be a lot more forward thinking because of that, even. And there was no indication of him with anyone before this. Like we said, he was 10 and then he was with nobody. So it's not out of the blue. It's not forced. It's not any of that stuff. It's just who he is.
I want to read this comment. I mind it because we never got a chance to do this development with John and Kathy. They were 10. You're 10 saying this old. Is rushed? Like, what development did you want? And also, that's homophobic. And not to call you out, Tevye, but it's like the reason you want it is because you didn't get to see the boy and girl. But the boy and boy bothers you? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, he hadn't even hit puberty yet. He wasn't thinking about girls. He didn't care. He was 10.
literally didn't care.
I mean,
He was 10. Like, and also this girl is still a little girl, so it's just like they're not the same age at all. So this romance is not going to happen. Like, it just it's because the world is so hetero thinking. That's why these stories bother me. It's because a lot of people think only men and women could be together, and that's the standard, that's the default. And these stories show that doesn't have to be the default. And then people are like, well, it's rushed, we're not seeing him come out, we're like, there's no sign of him being bi, there was no sign of him being straight. Like, why straight have to be the default? And it's just like, it bothers me to see that, for sure. And I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Yeah. I don't know how it comes. I saw Kenneth Crowley. I never know how to pronounce your name, man. But he said, even he hadn't been reading them, but even this came out of left field for him. And it's like, I don't know how it could come out of left field, because there was nothing established for Jon. There's nothing. We had nothing to go on before this series, really. He never had any interactions with either sex, so we didn't know. It wasn't explored with him because nobody knew what to do with the character before this book, I think. And now they've taken him in a direction, and it makes perfect sense for him. I just, of all the characters that we've seen come out recently, this one makes the most sense to me and is not surprising at all. Yeah.
And it goes to the complaint of, okay, Tim Drake fans were like, he's not a new character, we've seen him with Steph, which, again, bisexuality is a thing. So, like, let's put that to the side. And he's developing, like, he's trying to figure out, okay, what does bisexuality mean? Let me see what this all is meant to be. And first of all, we don't know how Jon's going to react to this. We don't know his feelings. We don't know at all. We don't know if this is going to be a coming out story, if it's not going to be a coming out story. He's like, oh, I always knew I was bi. Like, we don't know what that story is going to look like. But it goes back to, okay, you want the new character. You keep saying, why can't new characters be the ones that come out as gay? Why not use new characters? He is a new character who has no romantic feelings towards anybody. None. And it's like, why does a new character have to reveal they're gay in the first issue and then you get angry? It's like, oh, don't push an agenda to me.
Yeah. Also, I saw this comment somewhere. I don't remember who said it or where it was, but somebody was like, oh, I really wanted to see him with Yara Flor. And I'm thinking, he's bisexual. He could still be with Yara Flor at some point.
Yeah.
Just because he's with a guy now doesn't mean if he's bisexual, he likes both sexes. So it's,
Yeah, I don't know. It just, that's my opinion on all of it. I think this is one of the more organic, but then also it's like, what's so interesting to see of these people's comments, so many of these people don't read Superman at all. So it's just like, how does it fucking affect you? It's like, why do you care? It's just because it's the Superman name? Like, and how do you say it's not organic and it's rushed if you're not reading the book and 2 issues have not come out yet? And just because you kiss somebody, how is that rushed? It could be like a kiss of just like, oh, this is my feelings. No one's saying, oh, they're getting married. That would be rushed because they haven't started a relationship. But the kiss could be where their feelings come from. Like, that's real life. In real life, do you like think about when you go out on a date with somebody? Oh, it's been a couple of months. I really want to go on a date with this person. It's like, no, you go on a date with somebody to figure out if you like that person.
Yeah, exactly.
How's that rushed?
Yeah. Plus, like you said, this is I think happening in issue 5, right? It's 5 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's issue 5.
Yeah, so 5 issues worth of story here to get to this point. We've already had 3, right? So yeah, it's not just like boom, first issue there. It's built up. He went to college, met this guy, they've been hanging out. It's organic. It feels natural to me.
Family.
Yeah.
And also, like, I am curious to see what this story is going to be for Jon. Will it, like I said, will it be a coming out story? Will it be because, like you were saying, Brant, like, he's grown on a different planet. Maybe he doesn't really feel like there's any internalized biphobia or homophobia because he didn't have to deal with this earth that gives you internalized biphobia and homophobia.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so interesting because people are like, why do we need these stories? It's because of reactions like this. Like, oh, why does anyone care if they're gay? It's because you care that people are gay. It's like, because the world still cares that people are gay. If everyone like didn't give a shit, then these stories, it wouldn't be as big as they are, but they are as big as they are because people are still homophobic. And like, people have the privilege not to deal with that. But people that are part of the queer community have to deal with it every fucking day.
Representation matters. I know that's cliche to say, but it's true. And you want people consuming your product to feel themselves represented in it. And I think that's why it's important. And it kind of goes back to something that happened when I was younger. I collected GI Joes, and there weren't a whole lot of black GI Joes. So I had some doubles or whatever, and I'd paint them because I like diversity in my toys and stuff. And my cousin, who's mixed, he said to me, "I wish you didn't have to do that. I wish there were more like just regular characters you could buy, that you didn't have to do that kind of thing." And it really struck me at the time. And I was like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right." And I think this is kind of the same thing. It's you need these kind of stories to represent the multitude of diversity that we have in the world. Otherwise,
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I 100% agree. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it. That was the gist of it. Yeah, it's just come on, people, be better.
Yeah, for sure. I also saw a comment from Tevia. Let me see. It goes back to, except we never got a chance to see Jon Kent get to this point naturally. I don't understand what that means. Like,
right.
Because you want to see him as 13. Like, I don't get that. Like, he's 18. He's exploring his sexual identity. Like, I don't understand why he needs to be 13 and do that. Honestly, I'd rather not.
Yeah,
be.
Just to lay this aging thing to bed. I think one of us.
You're good now, though. I think you paused.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Just to put this aging thing to bed, none of us really like them aging Jon prematurely, right? But when they created him, they painted themselves in a corner, because then they had him interacting with all these characters that were older. He couldn't be on Teen Titans because he was only 10, that kind of thing. So they were like, okay, let's fix this. It was a clumsy way to do it, but here we are. That's where it is. It's not going back. So let's just drop that. And move on.
For sure. And this has nothing to do with his bisexuality. Like, he would have came out as bi either way. Again, the only point I could see from people are like, oh, I'm tired of them using these characters and then doing nothing with them. I actually see that point. And doesn't that show that's how much we need queer representation? Because we're not seeing queer representation. Maybe that's why we need these bigger names to show the queer representation, so we could keep them and have these stories and tell them in bigger titles like Superman and Batman. Yeah, I think that's definitely important. Let me see. All right. Well, I think we got through. Wouldn't it be better to DH Jon? I don't think I want to see a 10-year-old. I don't know. I don't need that. Not that 10-year-olds can't have, romantic feelings towards people, but I think this is a more, I don't want to say relatable, because I think 10-year-olds should have stories like this too. But I think people would be more upset if he was 10 and doing this. I'm not saying they should be, but I don't know. It would have been fine, but I don't think it was necessary, I guess is my point of what I was trying to say.
Again, if he was 10, he wasn't interested in anyone. He was just a boy having fun, playing, saving the world, wanting to be like his dad, looking up to people. It's just your mind's not there at 10, no matter, what your preference is.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've kind of talked about this topic. I'm sure we'll talk about it again when issue 5 does come out, and Mike will be able to give his opinions too. But knowing Mike and stuff we've already talked about, he will echo our feelings. That's the big topic. I'm very excited to see where this Jon thing will end up going and what exactly the story will be.
Just because he told us we could mention it, Chris actually chimed in our private chat about this and said that he was good with it and he would have made a video, but his kids are under the weather right now, so he didn't get a chance to. But he wanted us to convey that as the resident Superman fan here. So.
I do see a comment here. I'll be honest, I'm mad. Everyone's shoving this in everyone's face. But okay, could you say the same thing about a straight relationship being shoved in a queer person's face? There's so many straight relationships that we have to see. And is that shoving it in? When I see Superman and Lois, am I saying, oh my God, you're shoving that in my face? Why is it when it's a gay character, it's being shoved in a straight person's face? I don't get that. And why be mad about it when it doesn't affect you?
Right. It's because we've been so geared to normalize hetero relationships in society. So it's not anything that's, surprising or shocking or whatever, So,
Yeah,
and
and I think
that's where we're trying to get to with this. But yeah,
I was just gonna say that's like why we have these stories is because it shows like these people, people's queer experiences because no one really knows what a real queer experience is right now. I won't say no one, but like there's not so many stories geared to honestly like everybody, like every mainstream audience where people could understand queer storylines, and I think that's important.
We got a super chat.
We do have a super chat. Is this from New Type for $5? Thank you so much.
Yeah,
how would you feel if DC ever allowed for Kara to come out as lesbian? Because you have no idea how many people ship Kara and Lena. I will say if she did come out, I don't think she would be a lesbian. I do think she'd be bi just because of previous storylines. I think that they should do it on the show. And I don't think that necessarily means it has to happen in the comics. But if it does happen in the comics, that'd be great too. At that point, it's so hard to say because then I'd be like, there are too many characters coming out as bi then. And I'm saying that, like, if Supergirl then comes out as bi, like, even though that does reflect our world maybe a little bit better, I do think there's more people. I personally believe, and scientifically true, there's a Kinsey scale. Not everyone's 100% straight or 100% gay. Like, there are people that are 100% straight and 100% gay, but there are a lot of people in the middle. And there's like a sliding scale. So I do think it's realistic that many people would be bi, especially in the Gen Z generation where more people are allowed to express their sexuality. But I don't think people are ready for that right now.
Yeah.
So, and that is a sad part to say. Let me see if there's any other comments here. Someone says, I'm so tired of Deadpool pushing his chimichanga agenda down my throat. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I think we have a comment about Saga here. I'm curious about Saga. I have a friend who's not a fan. I've only read the first trade and didn't feel compelling to keep reading. For those who enjoy it, what is the appeal? I would say it's the character work and like just that it's such a fantastical world, but it's really just about people. But I can see why you wouldn't like it. I think there are parts that are very drawn out.
Yeah, I personally, like I said, I've only read volume 1 as well. I think if you weren't into that, you're probably not going to enjoy the series. I did. I had only read before that. I had read a random issue for a review show, and I was totally lost and didn't get it. But when I went back and actually fully read that volume 1, I was like, okay, now I get it. So if you don't get it after volume 1, yeah, it might not be for you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the question. So those are actually, all the news pieces here. So we are going to go into any announcements we have. So Brant, I do know you have a Kickstarter coming up soon. Do you have anything you want to share about it?
Yeah. Let me find my stuff here. There's a link to a pre-launch page that we have up now, and I'll screenshot it in a second. This is for a new cyberpunk series that we are launching in a couple of weeks called In the Land of the Dragon. Let's get that up there. There we go. So you can head over to that link and click that notify me on launch, and you'll be notified the second that it goes live, so you won't miss it and won't miss our early bird offers and everything. But it is a cyberpunk story in a futuristic world that is a mesh of magic and fantasy and magic and science. So there's like cybernetic wizards and all that kind of thing. But it's centered around two corporations who are at war, and a mercenary is tasked with kidnapping this baby that could change the fate of the world and maybe bring on World War III, basically. So really exciting stuff. We got some really cool variant covers. We got Federico Sabatini, who's doing Amazing Spider-Man, Darkhold Blade, Dr. Afra doing one of our covers. We got Fabiana Mascalo, who does Firefly Brand New Verse on a cover. We got an Akira homage. So it's really exciting stuff. Check it out. Go follow this so we can have a really strong launch. Thanks.
Awesome. And for me, I have a Kickstarter coming up this Monday for Slice of Life, our webtoon that you could read for free as well. Is about a gritty anime protagonist, Lady Vengeance, who comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. So if you like gay stuff, you might like this. But honestly, it really is just a story about life. So the reason we call it Slice Life, it's because it's an analysis about why everyday life is important and how that builds character. And really, it's a deconstruction of the slice of life genre. So it's not just all about being gay, but there's some gay stuff in it. So hopefully you guys can go check it out. We're really, really excited about this one. And there's actually, if you follow the webtoon, the reason to get this is that we have a plush doll, we have variant covers, but also we have an exclusive story that's only in this this issue and the digital issue, where we actually get to see the couple together in the future. So definitely go check that out. All right. So now we are going into the comic books. So let's jump in.
Yeah, big books in top 5. So first book we're going to talk about, which we've already kind of alluded to certain things with this, but Amazing Spider-Man number 75, the new start, new direction for the series post Nick Spencer's Kindred run. What did you think of this one, Kat?
Oh man, this was an interesting one. It was better than Nick Spencer's run, I will say that. I think from like the first couple of pages, I was like, oh, we're talking about character? That's interesting. So like him reacting to Harry's death, I thought was really important. But then on the flip side, I don't know how to feel about the Ben stuff. It really, speaking of unorganic things, if you thought Jay and John were unorganic, well, look at this story. Because Peter, like, I don't even want to say dies, but gets hurt really almost off panel. It's so quick. And it's like, man, okay, you got that hurt. Like he did a lot more other stuff in Nick Spencer's run and he didn't get hurt there. So that was weird. And I don't know if I really like that. So I'm conflicted. I thought the art was beautiful. I thought Ben was a little too cocky. I didn't really like Ben here and I love his voice. But I think that's potential. And I do like the dialogue work for the most part.
Yeah, it was fine, and I thought the art was really nice, and it was a nice, fresh, I don't know, just a fresh coat of paint on it for me, and so I enjoyed it for that aspect of it. I love Ben, typically, so I'm excited to see him back in a heroic role and not, twisted and perverted into something weird, like he was last time we saw him in any significant amount of time. But yeah, I agree. The injuries to Peter were a little sudden. He got some kind of radiation poisoning and then the whole building collapsed on him and all that stuff. So now it's like, okay, that's like you said, he was just taken off the field way too easily, to be Spider-Man. So I don't know. It is what it is, but the story itself made sense to me, like that he would let his copyrights lapse and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of boring stuff, but at the same time, it's something that would totally happen to Peter Parker. So it made sense, and it was kind of fun and funny. So I don't know, we'll see where this one goes, but I enjoyed it overall.
And we will see what happens tomorrow.
So now we go on to a book that you've dropped, but I have continued to read, which is
this
Nice
is the
House
big
on the
issue,
Lake.
or is the next issue the big issue?
There was a big reveal at the end of this one.
Okay.
So we should do our. Let me bring it up. Where is it?
Spoiler alert!
Spoilers.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't much of a spoiler for Spider-Man because that was released before the issue came out.
Right. So. Yeah, exactly. But in this one, so a couple issues back, we found out that there was another character roaming around, that he was locked in this other house and couldn't get to the other characters. I think his name was Reggie. So we didn't see him for a bit, and so we didn't know what was going on with him. Well, they finally find him in this issue, and his cliffhanger reveal, if you don't mind me spoiling, Kat.
No, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, was we got a lot of work to do. There's still time to save the world. So there was like the world didn't end. What happened here? Are they in a time warp? What's going on? So it was a pretty big thing for the series, and I quite liked that reveal. Which you had already seen my panel, so you already knew that anyway. So
I did see did see that there was the reveal, but either way, even if I was going to go back to the series, I don't mind spoilers when it comes to those type of stories, so it doesn't really affect the reading of it.
I thought that was really interesting though, because it's like we already learned that they couldn't kill themselves, they couldn't die basically, and they're going crazy. But now they've got hope. So now what's that going to look like? Is that going to turn people around? And is it really hope or is it false hope? We don't know. So
yeah, and again, it's either this issue or the next issue that there's supposed to be like a huge cliffhanger and then it goes on hiatus for like a year. So
I think that's next issue. Yeah,
next issue.
Yeah.
So you'll have to tell me what happens there.
Yeah.
I think it's issue 6 as well. I think as well. I think they would have made a bigger deal if it wasn't. We do have 2 questions before we get into I think number 5. But anyone read Wonder Woman 80th anniversary? No, I really try not to read the 80th anniversaries anymore unless it's a character I really like.
Right. Yeah, same.
And then the other question was pretty much, are you excited for Cliff Chang's Catwoman Lonely City? I've only heard really great things for that book. So yeah, and also I'm Paper Girls fan, so I'm very excited to see what this is going to be all about. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah, I really haven't heard that much about it, so I don't know.
Oh man, on social media, people are like, "Oh, best book of the year," blah blah. So
really?
Hopefully it lives up. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Maybe I'll check it out.
I definitely think you should. I also think it's short. I think it's only like 3 issues, so nothing to lose. Okay, so next is anyone read Superman the Authority? No, none of us read it. Okay, so I think we're going number 5 now.
All right, number 5. My number 5 is The Me You Love in the Dark by Image Comics, issue number 3, I think it was. And there wasn't a whole lot to this issue, really. Just a little bit of flirtation and then leading up to the ultimate climax, no pun intended.
They are definitely having a good time by the end of the issue.
Yeah, which was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that was possible. But
I don't know where this book is going.
Right.
Which is kind of what I like about it. Like like once you get to the end, it's like, man, is this guy like, who is he? Like, what is going on? Why does she love him so much?
Right.
And why she really hates her work? So she's like, well, also I think she he was kind of, I think it's a he, God, whatever it is. They are kind of the girl's muse. So I don't know, it's such a weird book, but I definitely like it. I like it because it's so, I don't know what's going on half the time.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, if this was a movie, it's like one of those one room movies. Everything takes place in one location, and it's so bizarre. And she can't really see him, but we see him, and we see he's got like 1,000 eyeballs, and he's all weird and lanky, and but she was like, shut up, let's do this. So it's okay. I don't know what comes of that. Yeah, she's definitely into it. So
me either. I really don't know. But yeah, we'll see. I think there's like 2 more issues left.
Yeah. So what was your number 5 then?
Mine was Spider-Man. So I think in another week it wouldn't have been, but I didn't hate it. I thought like the artwork was good, and I think it does have potential.
Okay. I liked it a little bit better than you. I'll put that out there.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was in my top 5 then.
All right. So next book we're going to talk about is actually a book that it's a Comixology original, right? I believe
it is. I am actually curious if Mike ended up reading this because I think he was very much on the fence of not reading these books until they come out physical. But because I wasn't getting that many, I was like, all right, let's just give it a shot. I'm only reading these issue 1s unless something like blows my mind. I'm not reading these issue 2s.
Right.
But I want to at least give it a shot.
Yeah. So this is Scott Snyder's We Have Demons #1, which came out. When did it come out this week?
Yeah, it came out
a couple of days ago.
Yeah, they came out that Tuesday, I think. Maybe it was the
Tuesday.
Wednesday. I feel like it was the Tuesday.
Okay, the Tuesday. So yeah, around the same time. Anyway, so this is the Comixology original, issue number 1. What'd you think of it?
The beginning, I was like, I'm not gonna like this book. But then as it went on, I was like, this is kind of an interesting book. Like once you got into the dad stuff, because the story is about this girl who's going to kill this couple. And you're like, oh, this is weird. And then there's a lot of description, which, is Scott Snyder's thing, and it's not my thing. So it got really bogged down in the beginning. But then you get to the point where you're like, oh, the dad's hiding something. And then she has like a robotic arm or something. And like she had to like chop off her arm. We're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then you like find out about their family. And by the end that she has like take over being a demon hunter. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I could see this being a long story. And obviously the artwork was really good. So it wasn't a perfect issue 1 for me, but I have a feeling out of all 3, this is going to be the one I like the most. And I'll at least get when it's physical. But again, it wasn't a book where I'm like, I need issue 2. Where's my digital copy? but it was definitely
Right.
good enough to say, oh, this was a good sampler for when this does actually come out physically.
Yeah. So I kind of had very similar thoughts. It's not really my thing, so I don't know that it's something that I would seek out personally, but I did enjoy it once we got into it. So like they start you off like you said, she's about to kill this couple, and it's like, what the heck is going on? This girl's going to kill this couple. Why? And you get that, and it was just like black bars with text in it, which
It was
really,
a lot of text.
yeah, really put me off at first, and I was like, I'll just, I'll get through this. I, kind of flip through it. It's like, okay, there, it gets past that. So, but yeah, when he cuts her arm off, it's like, what? And then of course the explanation makes sense and all that stuff. And then you really don't know where it's going until they get to that, that reveal and stuff. So it took you on a ride, and it was really interesting. And I agree with you. I think you could have some longevity here. You could see this translated into other mediums. So yeah, it was a pretty solid read. It's just probably not my thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is weird coming from somebody that loves Supernatural. So.
True. I thought if anybody, you would have enjoyed it the most.
Right? Yeah.
So what is the next book?
Oh yeah, sorry. I forgot I'm doing this. I'm used to Mike doing this.
Over.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dark Ages #2, the big book that came out this week. We all really enjoyed the first issue here on this show. So this second issue, a little bit more of the same. Lot of description, a lot of explaining what's happened in the world, but some pretty big reveals towards the end as well. So that got really interesting for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The ending was good. No, I was just going to say, I agree. The ending was interesting.
Yeah, so it totally got me with Cap showing up. I was like, oh, Cap is cool, chopping heads off vampires, doing all this stuff. But what's Cap doing with Apocalypse? It's like, what? And, of course, you get to reveal that it's not Cap at all. So it's like they got me. They fooled me. So kudos to them for that. But, I thought it was interesting that the team, for lack of a better word, that Apocalypse put together, and using the Purple Man to influence several heroes to do their bidding and that kind of thing. That was really, really cool. I'm invested in this because I like the way that this story takes post-apocalyptic into a different direction, whereas it's usually dark and grim and the world is ended and everybody's killing everybody. And they established that tone at the beginning of this issue that, no, we didn't take it that way. We looked at it as a positive thing, and we built something, a better future from it. And I thought that was a cool take on that whole genre.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like this book a lot. I don't think issue 2 was as strong as issue 1. Like, I loved issue 1, and I agree this was very slow towards the beginning, but I thought the ending had some interesting stuff. And it's a good book. I'm excited to see where issue 3 goes, even if issue 2 kind of, I don't want to say fumbled because I still enjoyed it, but I just thought not a lot happened.
Yeah, I think they could have gotten away from all the explanation stuff at the beginning. I don't think we needed more of that. Just get into the character stuff. Yeah. All right, so on to our number 4s. What is your number 4?
Mine actually was the Scott Snyder book, the Demons issue 1.
Cool. Mine is surprisingly Hellions issue 16, which I think might be the last issue. Right?
I know it's gearing up to ending soon.
Yeah. So this issue, the entire team broke apart, right? So like last time, this whole thing, the whole place was destroyed. Psylocke's kid was, done away with, or as we assume. Everybody wants to kill everybody. Quanon, it's not Psylocke. Quanon is done with Krakoa, with the X-Men, everything. She's leaving. Doesn't want to have anything to do with them. There was just some interesting stuff here. Emma Frost played a major part in this as someone that Empath went to for help, and she took him in and is kind of sheltering him, keeping him safe. And you got some nice emotional scenes with him and with different characters. Just, I don't know. It felt like an ending, but it also felt like a beginning. It felt for the first time in a while that they were part of this larger mutant community, and that there could be some real repercussions from what happened in Hellions going forward for each of these characters. So hopefully they'll do something with that and not just drop them. But it was a solid issue. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Glad it's ending strong, hopefully.
Yeah. So we already talked about the Me You Love in the Dark. So we will move on to Mighty. And I haven't been doing my banners. I apologize for that, people. Not that you guys care, but I care. So, but we'll talk about Mighty Morphin number 12. What did you think of this one?
This was a good issue. This kind of went back to what I like about Power Rangers. There's a lot of emotions. You got a good conversation between Matt and Tommy about what it means to be a Green Ranger and if Matt's being manipulated or not. We got obviously a really good story with Billy realizing, can he still be connected to the Power Rangers after everything he's done? And he asks for forgiveness from Daddy Zordon, all in the mix of Zordon being attacked, because there was also this bigger question of, is Zordon really for humankind or not? And his own people try to kill him and maybe kill him. Who the hell knows by then? It was a really good issue. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was really good. Excuse me. His finding out that Zed is his old friend was just like, oh man, that was a huge moment, I think, and I think it was handled really well. And it was like this mix of disbelief and, what am I going to do now? What, all my beliefs are being questioned and that kind of thing. As he goes face to face with Zophram and maybe finds his final fate. Who knows? We'll see. And you had some interesting stuff like a little bit of manipulation towards Tommy, I think, a little bit, trying to get him to, off his guard a little bit. And, ultimately that all the Power Rangers have to come together to defeat this whole threat.
It's mentioned too. And they're like, oh, do we even have any friends?
Right. Yeah. Right now they're all splintered and, spread across 2 books. And even in this book, there's like 2 groups basically. They're all at odds with each other. So, and Billy's completely on the outs with everybody, and so they're all going to have to pick this up and come back together to face this. And it's the way this story is constructed is really good. There were some clunky moments getting to this point, but I think from this point on, we're building towards that resolution, and it's getting really strong.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us to our number 3s, and mine's a book we already talked about, which was The Nice House on the Lake.
Nice. And mine was Captain Marvel, issue 33. This was a pretty solid issue. We got to see these, I guess, henchmen, we'll call them, attack Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel does everything in her power to save her, and does, but in the process of not saving herself and her friends, and being trapped. So what's going to happen next? I don't know, but this was a really fun action issue. Art was good comedy, just a solid part 2 to this interesting arc. Oh, did Brant pause for a second?
I don't know if I froze or you froze, but
I don't know either. I don't know if it's on my side or your guys. This is what's hard with only 2 people. We'll never know.
I know. Yeah, I have no idea. But you guys can let us know who paused, and we'll try to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, or one of us could refresh their page.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. It did not actually make my top 5 because I didn't enjoy it as much as last issue. And the first part of it was really, really strong. And I love, bringing Jess and Rhodey and people like that into it always. But when she confronted, I forget his name, the
I don't remember any of the villain. I don't remember any of the villain names. I just know what they look like. I'm like, I don't know what their names are, but
the dude's all black with the funky neon stuff flowing out of his head. But that guy starts with a V, I think. But when it got to that part, I found myself a little bored, and I just didn't enjoy that part of it. So it took me. And a little bit ended with her, basically in a floating coffin. So that was interesting. So, but yeah, not quite the strongest issue for me, but still fun in parts.
Yeah. We also have a super chat. Thank you so much, New Type. Isn't just me, or is it just me? But the DCU feels much more gayer than Marvel, perhaps unintentionally. I mean, I'm still holding out for Steph and Cass. Because they just had these big reveals, and I don't really think Marvel has any queer characters doing anything right now. So I don't think.
Well, I mean,
I
They
can't
all
think
showed
of
up in
any.
that Pride book, but
They did,
other
and
than
then
that,
they ended Runaways, and that was it.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any books that are like gay right now, except maybe like when Wiccan and Hulking shows up every once in a while.
Yeah, they do those one shots from time to time with them. Yeah, I think it's just because DC's characters, like you said, are more in the forefront, whereas
They're also doing a
Marvel's.
lot of legacy characters right now. They're not a lot of the Superman and Batmans. Oh, did I pause? I don't know who. I might have to refresh if it's me. But I was saying maybe it's also because they're doing more legacy characters at DC, and Marvel's just keeping with the status quo. Oh, is
Yeah,
it? Am I still paused?
yeah, I can hear you, but I
Uh-huh.
don't know. Your video is off with your audio a little bit for me.
I don't know if it's on you. Okay, I'm gonna refresh just in case, but if not, I'll let you refresh. Hold on.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Let me know if it's me so I can try to do something. I don't know what, but yeah.
Okay,
All right, that's bad. Okay, it seems better right now. At least we'll see.
we'll see how it goes. And it's weird that we switched places.
Yeah, no.
Uh,
I don't know what to think now.
oh,
There we go.
yeah,
I'm
there we
back.
go. Perfect.
All right, so I don't even know what I was saying at that point.
We were talking about Marvel. Why you think there's not as many
Oh,
queer characters?
yeah. I mean, I don't know why. I don't think it's intentional. I just think they don't know what to do with a lot of characters right now at Marvel, and they're very event driven. And if certain characters don't fit into an event, they don't spotlight them. I think that it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Tavia says, I miss Stephanie Brown and Tim as a couple. Well, I miss seeing Stephanie Brown. She doesn't show
Right.
up, so.
And they could still be a couple. He's bi.
He is still bisexual. And he hasn't gone on a date with the boy yet. So,
Oh
it's
man,
so interesting that people do not know the definition of bisexuality.
I guess not. Anyway,
I do recommend Bi
yeah.
Visibility if you need any
Nice
definition
plug.
about what bisexuality means.
Very good book.
All right.
Great Kickstarter. Did over 30,000. Go check it out.
Go check out. We have so many definitions about bisexuality. So I don't even remember where we're at, but that was a great question. We talked about my number 3.
Yeah, and mine was we had already talked about it. So we are on to our next big book, which we already talked about, Captain Marvel. So we will go on to, I don't know why my voice went up there, but Firepower number 16.
It's an exciting book, so we got excited. Yeah, Firepower.
Yeah, not as exciting as I wanted it to be, but still some good stuff here. The daughter. That was the big takeaway for me this issue.
Yeah,
she in dire straits, her family's being attacked. She's like, boom. She develops this firepower faster than her dad ever could dream of doing it. So she's a natural. Of course, she had her dad as a teacher, so I mean that probably helped a lot. But yeah, she's full on Firepower Junior now, which was really cool. And I love Grandpa getting in there. It almost made my panels where he's frying pan on, that's my granddaughter you're attacking. I love that, the whole family dynamic coming together. No matter if they have powers, abilities, whatever, they're just in there. There was a really touching moment with her and her brother too, where he was trying to talk to her and she kind of blew him off. And it was this nice panel sequence where he puts his hoodie up, he's got his headphones in, about to walk away, and she realizes that she kind of blew him off and gives him a hug. And it was just a nice moment. Just one of those nice character things that we've seen in this book from time to time. So I really enjoyed that. But when it got to the action of it, it was just like, okay, there's more and more of the same that we've gotten in this arc. So
yeah, no, I agree. I'm totally on the same page. I think the family stuff and the kids were more interesting in this issue than the actual snake stuff because nothing really happened there. Right. But I love the family stuff. But it does seem like the daughter is going to get into more action because they're like, I don't even know if she's going to stay there after this. So the guy kind of says, "Oh, I think you got to leave," which is interesting. So we'll see what happens. But I it wasn't my favorite issue. It didn't make my top 5, but I still enjoyed it. Exactly.
Same. All right. So that takes us right into our number 2s. So mine was a book we already talked about, Amazing Spider-Man.
Mine was Crush and Lobo, issue 5.
Okay.
This is a fun issue where we get to see Crush interact with Lobo's lover. Doesn't go so well, and it's just her, trying to track Lobo, and I just had a fun time with it. Like I said last week, I think it's always a very reliable read. And yeah, it's a fun book.
Yeah, that's actually why it didn't make my top 5. It was a reliable read. It was fun. It was fine, but it was kind of status quo at this point. It's just like I need something more from this book at this point. I think I like all the fun stuff. My panel was that coffee mug that she took. I loved interacting with her dad's lover. The Space Lizards was almost a panel I did too. So yeah, there's a lot of little moments in it, but collectively as a whole, I'm ready for her to do something else. I think this hunt for Lobo is getting a little old for me already for some reason. I want to see that come to a conclusion, and I want to see her back on Earth and dealing with this whole thing with Katie. So.
That's true. Yeah, that's the more interesting story, and I have a feeling that's going to wrap up in like only a couple of pages in that last issue, which is going to be sad because I think we have 3 more issues left. So maybe it didn't have to be an 8-issue maxi, but still a good book. So even if it's a little slower, I don't mind it being 8 issues, and hopefully we get to see more Crush because it shows that she could be a solo hero.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and not to crap on the book at all, because I totally enjoy it. It's one of the ones I look forward to when it's in my stack. So I definitely recommend it just for a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we talked about that. That was actually our next big book. So we only have one left, which I did make a banner for.
I forgot, hon. You paused, so it might be on me. Sorry, you paused for a second, so it might be on my side. But the reason why you didn't make a banner is because do you hear me? Because my Wi-Fi went a little weird.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, so what I was saying is that the reason I didn't add it is because I didn't see that Batman was coming out, so I didn't put it on. And then I got Batman in my store. I'm like, wait, this came out this week, so I'm glad I had it on my pull list because that was the only reason why I knew it was coming out. So that is why you don't have a banner, and it's one of the last books. I'm like, oh yeah, this came out, which that was the issue, and this came out. That's honestly my only thoughts. Nothing's really happening. Maybe we didn't have to talk about it this week.
Yeah, it was kind of a holding pattern issue, really, more than anything else. Just holding pattern. That's all you can really say. I liked the conversation with Miracle Molly and Poison Ivy. That was probably my best part of the whole issue. But other than that, it was just more of the same. So. All right,
so now we're on number 1s.
Yeah, number 1s, which mine's Dark Ages, which we already talked about. So what is yours?
Mine is Mighty Morphin. So we already talked about it. I really like this issue.
All right. So that is all the top 5 and all the big books. So we will move straight into the chopping block, which we only have one book on it this week, and it's me. And it's not that it's a bad book. It's just it's not memorable enough for me to continue. And I just think I'll forget that it exists, which is a Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. I thought it was a fine issue, but not a whole lot happened, and it was basically a huge setup issue, which, I mean, it's the first issue, so that makes sense, but I expected a little bit more movement in this issue. So, I don't think I'm going to continue with this. Did you read it?
No, I didn't read this one.
Okay. I don't typically check out Rick Remender stuff, but I was curious, so I tried it, and basically it's just this dude that's just kind of going through the motions. He runs into somebody at a gas station or whatever, who he literally runs into and knocks stuff out of his hands, and he's got like Drano and tape and stuff like that, and then he goes visit somebody at the end of the issue, and they're dead, and you see the Drano and the tape, and he's like, oh, I saw that guy, basically. So it's like, okay, I'm done.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was a weird setup. But, anyway, so that's it for the chopping block then, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't have any this week. I mean, I guess you could include that Comixology book, but not really, because I might read it when it comes out. So
Right, yeah. So we'll go right into most anticipated then. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 76, because that's weekly now. Let's see if it gets better for you, Kat.
Yeah, no, again, I didn't hate it by any means. Like I said, it was, it's probably if this was a Nick Spencer book, it would be one of the better issues of Nick Spencer, but it's also like, it's not where like, oh my God, best run ever, where like I felt with Nick Spencer's issue 1. So I'm just kind of like in the middle with it. And yeah, I hope I do like it. I hope this is a big issue because we had a big cliffhanger and we get some revelations of things we were promised with Peter Parker and this whole Ben Reilly story.
Yeah, it's almost an unenviable position to be in right now. I know we're getting other writers and stuff. And by the way, I forgot to read the backup story by Kelly Thompson. I got to go back and read that in issue 75. But yeah, it's because they're building to that 900th issue. So the big stuff is coming in. So this is kind of just a side story. And that kind of sucks a little bit.
Especially a new run, kind of like is this a new run? Is it just like a holding pattern? We don't really know.
Right. Exactly. All right, so we got one that I'm pretty sure you enjoyed the first issue, Harley Quinn, the animated series, the Eat, Bang, Kill Tour, #2.
I liked it and I didn't love it, which was so weird to say because I was like, I love the show and the show is so good, and I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it did as well as the show, but I still enjoyed it because it's like I'm not watching the show right now, so it's like at least something to read. And also, you get a lot of their romance, which is cool. I just think Poison Ivy's kind of out of character, which sucks because I think she is the best part of the TV show. So yeah, it's I want to love it. Hopefully, I love issue 2, but issue 1 I didn't love.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, and Wonder Woman 780. I only marked this because I think it's a new direction. I think she's finally out of that story arc that I dropped, and it may be a new creative team. I'm not exactly sure, but I did want to mention it for anybody that's looking for a jumping on point. This might be one. At least going to flip through it and see. So, all right. Then we got Miles Morales, Spider-Man #31. That's also just a me book, I guess. I enjoyed last issue a little bit. I want to see where it goes. It hooked me with the Taskmaster thing, like Mike and I talked about last week. So we'll see if that holds my interest or it ends up getting dropped again. And one that you are looking forward to is Maze Book #2, Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, no, I love Jeff Lemire. I enjoyed that first issue, so I'm interested to see where this mystery goes with dad and daughter.
Yeah. And let's see what else we got. We got Batman Urban Legends #8. I don't know what's happening in this book. Yeah.
This is Batwoman. And I think a lot of it's Fear State related, but honestly, I'm just interested to see what's going on with Batwoman.
Yeah, I've never been into Batwoman, so that's probably why I didn't mark it. So.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be excited because then it's like, I think Azrael is in it.
Man.
The Outsiders. Yeah. Professor Pig is the other character. So
wow.
This might be an issue for you.
I might even skip this one. We'll see.
I think you can.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the last one we have to talk about is also just you because I thought Mike was going to be here and he would be excited about this one too. Immortal Hulk #50, final issue.
I mean, hearing about the Penguin stuff, I might not get a physical copy, but because it'll be destroyed. But I'm very excited to see how this ends. I really love Immortal Hulk, and I want to see where it's taking the character. Donny Cates is taking over Hulk. Will it? Will we get revelations of what's going to happen in that story? Because we really don't know, or is it just going to really be an end for Immortal Hulk? Where is Betty gonna go? I'm curious about that. I know she's in Defenders, but they're not really saying much about her story from Immortal Hulk. What happens to their relationship? So yeah, I am very excited. Someone asked Miss Marvel issue 1, you guys picking it up? I believe it's just a reprint, so probably not because I've read them all.
Yeah, it's Marvel Tales, so it's a reprint of I guess that first
like her big
the G. Willow Wilson stuff. Yeah.
So we have all those issues, so we don't have to pick that one up. But yeah, that I'm excited for those books. So we'll see how tomorrow goes for our reading pile.
Yeah, but that's all our most anticipated. So we'll start wrapping up.
All right. So Brant, what do you have to plug?
Yeah. So again, I will pull that back up. I'll share that one more time. I got this Kickstarter we're launching in a couple of weeks. Called In the Land of the Dragon. It's a cyberpunk fantasy story about I I just lost my total train of thought. Sorry. Two corporations are at war, and this mercenary Kenzo is tasked with kidnapping this baby that could turn the tide of the war or spark World War III, basically. It's a world fused of magic and technology. It's really bright, really action-heavy, really cool story by an Italian creative team that we are working with for this issue. So definitely check that out. lastnumberpress.com/dragon will take you to the pre-launch page. I'll drop that link in the chat again. And we'll be launching in a couple weeks, but you can click that notify button so that you don't miss a second of the launch or the early bird offers that we have when it goes live.
Yeah, and for me, Slice of Life launches this Monday. I could screen share it again. It's about a anime character comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. And as I pull up the page here, we're 74 followers away from 400. So that'd be kind of cool if we get there for Monday. If not, I mean, over 300 followers is very nice. So yeah, hopefully you guys could go check it out, see what people have been talking about. It's so interesting and weird about Slice of Life is that we go to Comic-Cons and we'll have like the print up, and there will be people that are not interested in comics. I'm like, hey, do you like comics? They're like, no. And they're like, wait, I've seen that before. I was like, yeah. It's like, I've seen your webtoon before. I was like, oh yeah, we're the writers. Oh, can I get a print? And they're like, yeah, sure. So it's like so interesting to see like the different audience and how many people in real life has noticed this comic. We were out to dinner, and Phil was showing me like, oh, look how many followers we had. And he had his phone up with Slice of Life, and our waiter said, I've seen that before. And I was like, oh, we're the writers of that. And he was like, oh, really? I've read that. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And we've gotten that many times now. It's only been out for like 2 or 3 months. So it's cool that people have been noticing it.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys could go check that out. Other than that, I'll have my comic book reviews tomorrow. I did a whole video on the Jon Kent thing. So if you want even more thoughts from me, check that out. I might do a final verdict on Immortal Hulk, depending on what happens in it. If it's like not that interesting, I probably won't do a whole video on it. But if there's something interesting, maybe I'll do something about that. But look forward to it all. While I pack all 700 and something physical packages for Buy Visibility. So that's what I'm doing this week.
I feel you. I'm packing Last Number Hunted and puzzles. So
it's like the worst and best thing.
Yeah.
Isn't exactly. It like it's cool that you're bringing it out and like it's cool that people are getting their hands, but man, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for us. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video, and hit that notification bell. Make sure you mark all notifications so you don't miss anything that we post on the show, which is on our channel, just the show. And on Mike's channel, you get a lot of other videos. And check out all our social media at Comic Frontline. We do Facebook, Twitter, and as Mike jokes, sometimes Instagram, usually not, and YouTube, of course. And give it a like so that we know you love us. And that's
all. And before we leave, we did get one more super chat, so let's answer that right before we go. New Type says, Kat, I always wonder why you were never a big fan of Champions compared to other Marvel teen groups. I mean, the latest run was good. I just think it was just the writers. I did like the Jim Zub issues. I thought that was probably the best. All the other ones just, I don't feel like they knew what direction to take the characters. And I don't think they got their chemistry right. I think that was my biggest problem, was like Jim Zub did, but like every other one's like, are they friends? Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that was probably my biggest issue with Champions. Yeah. So. All right. So thank you guys for watching and for all the super chats, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.